S4.
All right, welcome back. It's time now to bring in our panel to talk about this week's top stories. Joining us online this week, Robin Winston, Mike Murphy, Alexandra Hudson, and Adam Wren. Let's start with former Democratic Party Chair Robin Winston. This was a difficult week in the news in Indianapolis. A lot of outrage about this police-involved shooting. We've seen cases like this around the country, but seeing this play out here at home in the midst of this ongoing health crisis was quite a situation.
And it manifested itself that there were people out in the street yesterday on Michigan Road. A lot of people are still asking questions about this. Police officer unfortunately struck a female who was pregnant, and she was killed. We had the shootings, we had the supposed ambush, and we had the really graphic video from Georgia of a person being shot simply for being out jogging. So in the middle of all that, you turn over for other news, and it's COVID-19. It tests all of us in our ability to continue to be resilient in all this that's going on.
Yeah, let's bring in columnist Alexandra Hudson. Alexandra, welcome. A lot of anger in America right now for a lot of different reasons, including the response to the coronavirus crisis and the many different feelings people have about what's going on.
That's right, and I think we can really celebrate the universal condemnation we've seen against the violence against police officers, and also the condemnation, unfortunately, of Governor Holcomb when he wasn't wearing his mask. I think people are really kind of catching on that we're all a part of this. We all are in this together and have to be a part of helping other people not contract and not to spread the virus. And so that's an encouraging note.
Former GOP lawmaker Mike Murphy with us today as well. Hey, Mike. I want to get your thoughts on the week that was, and also on former Governor Mitch Daniels, who had a column this past week in the Washington Post called "When This Pandemic is Over, Let's Avoid the Partisan Blame Game." There's been a lot of reaction to his column for a lot of different reasons.
Well, first of all, Mitch has the advantage of having a little bit of objective distance, so to speak, from the political world right now, which gives him a little more leeway to make statements and frankly, to impart some of his wisdom. I mean, he's an amazing man in many ways. And I really agree with him, whether it was the first, the Gulf War, the Iraq War, where people, voted for it and then turned around and said they were against it all along, and then started blaming other people. Whether that's going to continue, as he said, into what he calls hindsight recrimination disease, which I think is not only accurate but somewhat funny if you can make a joke during these times. I think he's spot on. He has an ability to see the kernel of truth and to drill right in. I remember a long time ago, 1988, when John Mutz lost to Evan Bayh. I still have his column from December of 1988 when he said, in this case, GOP should stand for go out in peace. He said, we'll have our time again someday. Little did he know that he would be the guy who brought the Republicans back 16 years later. But, politics and big events like the coronavirus have their own momentum, and nobody should be accusing anybody of being unpatriotic or profiteering or having anything less than the best interests of the United States in mind. Even for me, somebody who's not a big fan of Trump, I don't think he's purposely trying to screw up. And I think we need to all be aware of that.
Let's bring in Importantville's Adam Wren, who's also a contributing editor at Politico in Indianapolis Monthly. Adam, a lot of scrutiny, though, certainly on the White House throughout this, and also questions now even about exposure within some of the White House staff. But back to that Mitch Daniels column, your reaction to that in terms of the ongoing scrutiny that they have faced, the administration.
That's right. I agree with a lot of what Mike has said. Mitch Daniels has been a leading voice throughout the last few years on a number of issues in higher education, but particularly on the coronavirus. He's laying out some fairly bold strategies for bringing students back to campus this fall, and in some quarters is taking heat for that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he walks through this. A number of other university presidents and policymakers at every level of government are looking to him as someone who may have an innovative plan for how we can exist in the time of coronavirus before there's a vaccine.
All right, let's also talk about some Indiana political news here this week. The candidate for governor, Woody Myers, in the Democratic Party, picking a running mate. Robin, I want to get your thoughts on this. Also, a bit of a delay here in the process after he missed the initial deadline set by the party to name a running mate. What does that tell you about the inner workings here of the Myers campaign?
Well, first off, it means it's deliberative. Woody really tried to make a difference in what he was doing, and he picked Linda Lawson, who has a lot of experience in the Indiana House. She comes from Northwest Indiana, where she has been a stellar representative, former law enforcement officer, former member of the Hammond Police Department. So she's going to have a lot of vigor in this campaign, which he desperately needs, and she's going to make sure that some things come to the forefront, particularly where she's talked about women's issues, domestic violence issues. I think it's going to be a very spirited campaign.
Mike, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I served with Linda for several years. She has outstanding integrity and character. She's a smart lady, but very pragmatic. And she was always respected by both sides of the aisle. I see nothing but advantages to the ticket. The problem is she's going to be helping on a ticket which is doomed to lose. I mean, Woody, I worked with him at Anthem for many years. He has 9% positives, and 65% of the voters don't even know who he is. At the end of the year, he had $2,000 in the bank, and Holcomb had $7.25 million. It's a sinking ship, but I applaud Linda for at least trying to help the party.
And Alexandra, it does seem certainly as if the governor has a lot of advantages here when it comes to his reelection effort this year.
It's true. He's had a very strong response, lots of support across the state, and of course, the exposure he's gotten in his regular briefings, updating the state about the state's response. And I think, just broadly speaking, elections and primaries, they're an opportunity for a fresh start, a fresh beginning. And on that note, it's important that we hold our elected officials to incredibly high standards of transparency and honesty and integrity, because the people we elect are really a reflection of the populace that put them there.
Yeah, especially during this time. Adam, you also had some interesting reporting this week on the 5th District congressional primary. Candidate Victoria Spartz facing some scrutiny this week.
That's right, Dan. As we get closer to the June 2nd primary, knives are coming out, and Spartz is really one of the top figures, a front runner in this race. And there are some open questions about how she came up with a $750,000 loan that she used to fund the last few weeks of the campaign. She doesn't have a checking account. She doesn't have a lot of liquid assets, and her campaign is refusing to answer where they got this money, from which particular asset it came from. And so until she answers that question, a lot of her Republican rivals are going to be making this an issue down the home stretch.
And Mike, obviously this is a very crowded Republican primary for a seat in Congress that obviously is being closely watched this year.
Well, it is. And first of all, I applaud Adam on the story. We'll see how, what kind of life the story has, and if she is forced to answer any questions. But you get back to where she came from, and I'm not talking about where she was born, I'm talking about Hamilton County politics. It amazes me that the Hamilton County Republican Party, most of them who are my friends, didn't vet her before she was literally handed a state Senate seat a year or two ago. And now she's off and running. We're finding out today, we know a lot less about her than we thought we knew about her.
Okay.
And I think that gives an opportunity for Kelly Mitchell, for Beth Henderson, to kind of avoid the heavy traffic, avoid the wrecks, and maybe move into the lead.
We'll talk about it more on our podcast. Guys, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Stick around. We'll be right back with more after this.